So today I'm going to be showing you how to edit a photo in Lightroom. This is not going to be like a Photoshop edit, as Photoshop gets rid of blemishes and shine. This is going to be about adjusting white balance, exposure, contrast, and that of the like. So to start, you're going to want to open Lightroom if you have it, and you're going to want to go to File and click Import Photos and Videos. So when that opens up, you're going to want to select your source. So for me, my source is going to be at Downloads. And this is the photo, which as you can see we already have in my dock. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a highlight on this with a check mark. You're going to want to make sure that it's checked, and then you're going to want to go down into this section here and click Import. So since I already have it imported, I'm going to click Cancel. So we're going to turn this photo into this photo today. So what you're going to want to do is click the photo that needs editing, and on your keyboard click the D. This will take you into Develop mode, where you can edit your photo. So first we're going to want to adjust white balance. As you can see, this photo is really green and it doesn't look realistic at all because it was taken in a bad lighting. To adjust white balance, you're going to want to click this eyedropper tool right here. When you click this eyedropper tool, you're going to want to watch this photo up in the top left, as that's what your photo is going to look like after you click. So you're going to want to take the eyedropper tool and put it over a neutral space somewhere on the photo. So as you can see up in the top left, the photo is changing wherever space we choose. So a neutral background is probably going to be this poster board right here that's a little white, so we're going to click that and see it changed it to where it's not green anymore and looks like it was taken in a more normal lighting. Right here you can see that it actually changed it, and you can change your white balance automatically with the eyedropper, or if you prefer you can change it manually with these levers. So next we're going to want to adjust exposure, which is right here. As you can see, the picture is looking a little light since it was taken at a football stadium under bright lights. So we're going to want to bring the exposure down just a little bit, not too much. So since we brought the exposure down, you're going to want to bring up the contrast again just a little bit, not too much, to make those colors stand out. Next, you're going to want to adjust highlights. Highlights are very important as they are the brightest parts of the picture. This picture doesn't have a lot of highlights as of right now, so what we're going to do is click the Alt key, and if you are using Mac, you're going to click Option, click and hold that, and when you drag this tool right here, you should see that it turns the screen, your picture, black, but don't worry, that's normal. So you're going to want to adjust the highlights until you can see those little spots right there. If you see those spots, then that means that you have some highlights on your page, which is good because you want some highlights to bring some depth into your piece. So you're going to release it, and you can't really notice it in the picture itself, but it brought up the highlights right here and back here. Next, you're going to want to adjust the blacks of the photo, which is again to add more depth. So you're going to want to hold down your Alt key again, or Option if you are on Mac, and click and drag. And you see how it turned white? That's fine, that's normal. Just drag down until you start seeing those little spots again. Make sure it doesn't look like this, as then that makes the photo too dark. You just want it just a little bit, just so you know that it's called True Black, and again it adds more depth to your photo. Since this photo was taken on a phone and not with a real camera, you're going to want to boost up your clarity just a bit. This makes the lines sharper and easier to see. And another thing that I like to do is just boost up vibrance just a little bit again, just to make the picture stand out a bit more. And something that I also like to do is go down right here to where the photo is. You're going to want to right click it, and then you're going to want to click Create Virtual Copy. And so now you have the photo exactly the same the way you edit it. So you're going to want to go back to the original, and then you're going to want to go down here right where it says Reset, click that, and then you can see what it looked like before and after. Now up here in the histogram, you're going to want to make sure that everything seems to be in order, just to make sure you have a perfect photo. If done correctly, it should be an arch. You don't want something that's way up here and then really low in the middle. You're just going to want a nice arch that looks like a hill. It doesn't have to be exact, it just has to represent something similar to that. And since you're done editing your photo, you want to have it forever, you can export it. So you're going to want to click G to go back to grid. Make sure the photo you want exported is highlighted, and then go down to this corner and click Export. This is going to pop up, and it seems like a lot, but don't worry, it's not too much. So this is where you're going to decide where you want to export it to. So you can go here, here. We're going to go to Documents folder. And this says put in subfolder. If you're editing multiple pictures and want to export them all at the same time, you might want to put it in a subfolder and title that subfolder whatever you please, but since we're just editing the one picture, we don't need to put it in a subfolder. So we're going to unclick that. If you want to rename it, you can go to File Naming, click Rename To, and then this right here, it'll have a file name, which is the name of the original file you edited, or you can have a custom name, and again, if you are doing multiple photos, you can have custom name 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, or custom name like 1, 2, 3. So since we're just editing one, we are going to do custom name, and we are going to name it edited photo. And that's how it'll show up in your folder. And if you scroll down a bit more, if you want it in a different format than JPEG, JPEG condenses your photo, meaning that it's harder to edit on top of it. DNG is an easier edited one. Camera raw, medium size. But since we're not going to edit this photo anymore, JPEG is fine. Everything else down here is going to be perfect, and you don't need to touch it at all. So then we're going to click Export. And up here in this, right next to Lightroom, you might have seen it, it flashed up. It shows you the exporting progress of your photos. So to make sure that it did it correctly, we're going to go down here to Finder, and then we're going to go to Documents, and here it is. And there is your fully edited photo, ready for consumption by your friends and family.